in. One is in connection with report cards. This is something that recently came to my attention by somebody from another state who discovered that there were changes now being made in report cards that would align with Common Core. And what that meant, so far as she could figure out, was that it meant that a report card would have maybe 1 to 4, and it would go with what the student achieved on a test item or on the tests. So in other words, everything is locked in. There's no escape from everything being aligned to Common Core. So that's where parents certainly have always had some input through PTOs, which are independent organizations, and most of the parent-teacher groups in this state, I know because I asked about it when I was on the board, are PTOs, not PTAs. PTA is part of the larger national group, Parent-Teacher Association, which has been subsidized by the Gates Foundation to promote Common Core. PTOs are, yes, you need to know that. They have been, it's up there on the website. You can find out what the Gates Foundation has given money to. PTA is a national organization, and they have a state-level organization here, and when they came to the State Board of Education to talk about what they had done, not one of the officials actually had any children in the schools. They were older. I mean, they no longer had kids in the schools. Most of your parent-teacher groups in this state are PTOs, and that's what I wanted to hear. You would get more diversity there, by the way, because usually the PTOs reflect the parents in the particular schools their kids are in. So you get the true diversity of your population when you get some way of contacting PTOs. The problem is that by their very nature, they're not very organizable. They're not national in scope. They do have a kind of newsletter, but that's the level at which parents should be active with their own with their own group. Usually, as I say, for PTO, maybe 5% of all the parent-teacher groups in this state are PTA. All the rest, over 90%, are PTOs. Even in Brookline, they didn't want to pay dues to a national organization. So you keep all your money at your local level. And find out about your report cards and what you want in terms of what you think is important. Children's achievement. Where's content knowledge going to be assessed? This is what a number of us are concerned about. Where do you assess content knowledge? And the third, and you've got to ask about that because it's not clear that content knowledge is going to be assessed in either ELA or in the Common Core math tests.
They don't want to.
They're not interested in content knowledge. They're interested in skills and critical thinking. The third idea that I would like to suggest, because I know that it has had value when I was a very active parent in Brookline, see if you can get local experts to evaluate your math and science textbooks. There is no, I'm sure in a state like Massachusetts, there have to be in every community. A few engineers, mathematicians, math-oriented people, scientists, people who understand high school math or high school science. Get them to be on committees with the teachers. I don't want this to be done, behind teachers' backs, but involving the math and science teachers, and have these experts with them looking at the content of high school textbooks, because that's where the ball game is going to be played out, basically. It's about who is going to be ready for true college level work. So if school committees are willing to have parents who have expertise, and I do mean expertise because of their professional position or the job they do, then they should be working with the local high school teachers to evaluate what's in their math and science textbooks. At this point, I can't do much for the English language arts textbook because that would just get into a big problem with arguments about what should be in literature anthology altogether, but at least math and science, it's clearer what an incoming freshman student should know so that they're not placed in remediation at the college level. It's much clearer.
Where are the colleges in all of this?
Pardon?
Where are the colleges in all
Out
of
to
this?
lunch. Very good
So
question.
none of them are.
They had no idea that the rug was being pulled out from underneath them. You've asked a question that should have been asked at the very beginning, when the first committees were developed to develop Common Core standards. I looked at the list, they were almost all people connected to the testing industry. And my question was, if I were to ask the man in the street or the woman in the street, who should be on a committee to decide college readiness standards, who would you expect to be on that committee? Almost anybody I asked who knew nothing about the situation would say, well, the people at college level who teach the subject are high school teachers, both. Fine, those are the two groups that were excluded. So that tells you what the problem was, that they didn't want to hear from college level people about what should be in college readiness math standards.
This is more of a statement. It would be a hideous, serious mistake for anybody in this room to think that what's going on is from incompetence, from ineptness, and from foolishness. There's a purpose behind that. Don't forget that.
Okay, at this point, I just want to make a couple quick announcements before we close. First of all, we have Jamie Guest. Jamie, are you still here? From the Pioneer Institute. He just got his editorial published in the Wall Street Journal. I believe it was today or yesterday, and we have copies of that in the back. Also, too, is our speakers will stay around. We have the room till 9. You know, if they get a whoopie pie, maybe they'll stay. Do we have whoopie pies still left? You guys want a whoopie pie? Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Jamie's back there. Thank you, Jamie. Okay. What a whoopie pie was? Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that later. See, you guys all woke up. I said whoopie pie. There you go. All right. Okay. Well, once again, we will be around. There's a lot of people in the room that have a lot of expertise. Please take the time to mingle, speak to our speakers, and thank you so much.
Thank you.